Hello, this is Deepa Narayan, and welcome to this new episode. And I'm going to talk to you about a book that I bought when I went to India in August. I saw this book in the bookshop. I could not take my eyes off it, the image and the title. And it was a book, CHUP, by Deepa Narayan. It's about breaking the silence about India's women. Chup means silence or be silent in Hindi. This book will hold a mirror to every Indian woman. And I think it's not about Indian women alone, it's about Indian men as well. It was probably 6 years before when I first started saying that I'm a feminist. And over the past 6 years, I have spoken to people, I've read about it, I've heard people speak, and I thought I kind of have an understanding about what women face and about the challenges that they face in our society, growing up in the society, going to school, finding love, making a family, starting a job, building a career. But this book, Chup, kind of shatters whatever I thought I knew. And I figured out that there's a long way for me to go to really understand gender equality and women's rights in its totality. And I think it's very important, irrespective of whether you're a feminist. There are some people who say that they are not a feminist, but they are for equality. Now, we talk about equality, talk about feminism, we always put certain boundaries to it, what it is not and what it is. But I think we need to open up our heart and start looking at these things more and try to understand from a woman's point of view about what it is to be equal. And I think this book, the title of the book, Chup, speaks a lot because there are so many stories, so many narratives which are silent, which are not audible for many of us. And we live in a society where this society has been unequal when we grew up. And it is still unequal. But we might have changed a lot of the ways how we thought about society or thought about equality. But even then, in our subconscious mind, we still have that remains of that unequal feeling. And I think that really impacts us when we interact with people in the society. So sometimes it's more and more needed that we be reminded of how unequal things are in the society. And maybe this won't change in my generation as a person when I talk about it. But at least for the next generation, there's a lot of change I have to do within me in this generation so that at least we have a much fair, much equal world after that in the next generation and going forward. And I think that's why Deepa's Chup is a very important book, in my opinion. It's got 8 chapters, and I'm going to read a few things from the book so that you get a feel of the book. And I want you to go and buy it and read it and share it and give it to someone to read as well, because these are not the books that should remain on the shelf. It should go from hands to hands, and people should read. And this particular piece that I'm going to read to you right now is about voice. The language of war and weapons is frequently used when talking about women who argue. Shuchi, 30, was trained not to argue by her mother, constantly saying, "Zaruri nahi hai कि हर बात पे तलवार लेके खड़ा हो." It is not necessary that every time something is said, you have to take your sword and stand. If you can ignore, don't argue. Jane do, just leave it. A woman who argues is not a woman, but untethered, wild, aggressive, angry, loose. When women talk, when women ask a question, when their voice is louder, when they question the status quo, when they ask why, when they say no, they're not looked at the same way when they remain silent. And that is not equal. That is not fair. This one, it's about compromising your career. It's not important. We've made progress as a society, but we're still not there. For the middle classes, going to college is no longer a choice. Women grow up on some variation of पढ़ लिख के कुछ बन जाओ फिर जो कुछ करना. First, study and become someone, and then later you do what you want. Although this is progress, women bring the same habit of erasing the self to please others to a new realm, combined with not knowing or fighting for what they want. Girls are sucked into a vortex of love and pleasing parents. That's about compromising. There is a progress. You gone are the time when you cannot go to school, study, or be on par with the boys. But then there's a point where the society then goes back into its old roots and say that, compromise your career in a family and just leave it. Don't speak. Don't trust. So this is a very important thing because, in our society, trust is so important. And when you're brought up in a society where you're always told that don't trust others, you're at a very big disadvantage. Trust is the firm belief that someone or something is reliable, predictable, and will not harm you. When you trust, you feel safe. The world is safe. Without trust, the world could not function. We would drown in rules. Trust makes exchange and trade possible. It makes collective action possible. Women who are trained in childhood not to trust others are therefore at a great disadvantage. Imagine having to live in a world where you're always told that you should not trust others. And look at what disadvantage it will cause you in your family, in your career, in the way you take yourself and take you through the society. Trust. And I want to close that with the closing notes in this book, which is very important, I think very profound, I should say. And I want to read that to you. And that's about we need to question what we have been taught about men and women and reclaim our inner fountains of moral goodness. We need to listen deeply with empathy. As human beings, we are stronger together. Only then can we collectively create a moral culture that allows both women and men to flourish in families, in communities, and at work. We need to stop outsourcing this cultural creation to others. We are the culture. We create the code. We can create new cultural codes, new compassionate moral codes for women and for men. So we can flourish together. Deepa, thanks for writing this book. Thanks for talking to all those women, bringing all those silent narratives, making it audible for us so that we can read and understand and we can be better people. Thanks, Deepa. This is CHUP by Deepa Narayan. I'll come again with something else, maybe a book, maybe a movie, something else. Thank you. Have a good day.